everyone, welcome back. So today I thought I'll do a long overdue review of the Marc Jacobs Style Icon 20 eyeshadow palette. Now, this eyeshadow palette was actually released last year, so this review comes absolutely massively late. And I meant to do one, I was going to do a blog post and a swatch of all the colors, and I just haven't been up to it, and possibly that will feed into the review of why today. So I thought I'll do this review today was because Marc Jacobs actually released a part 2 of his Style Icon 20 shadow palette, and just in time for the holidays of this year, and I thought I'll let you know my first impression and thoughts about what it's been like having the original eyeshadow 20 palette. So let's get to it. This is what it looks like. You do get an absolutely massive palette, and this is with the 20 eyeshadows, and it comes in a glossy clamshell design, glossy black with a silver clasp and just the brand name etched on there. It is extremely slim, although it is about the same size. My hands aren't really going to be a good kind of contrast because I have really tiny hands, but they're about the same size as the Urban Decay kind of Vice palettes, except much slimmer. Now, it is quite plasticky, and as I always have quite a lot of trouble trying to open up the eyeshadow, so if I just, there we go. So you kind of press on a clasp and it kind of lifts up. There we go. Kind of lifts up like this. I'm going to show you like everything. So this is what it looks like, and I'm not 100% fan of the packaging itself. I mean, it looks really nice, but it also feels quite cheap for what you're paying for it. Now, the eyeshadow palette is $300, that's US dollars. It is quite expensive, even though you do get 20 eyeshadows in there, so that's quite a good bargain if you're into Marc Jacobs, if you like the eyeshadows and you just want to have a lot of variety in your collection instead of getting his normal palettes, which I think are about 6 or 7 eyeshadow pounds, so that's quite nice. But otherwise, I think the packaging is quite cheap for what you get, but that's just me. I think you can get much better packaging elsewhere, especially with more luxury brands like Chanel and Dior and YSL especially. Burberry also does really nice packaging, but that's alright. I'm going to start off with the pros of this palette. So as I open it up, again, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with this, so I'm going to press it. There we go. Open it up. You do get 20 eyeshadows in here. If I can just show you, I'm going to flip this so you can see it without the mirror. You do get 20 eyeshadows. That's quite a lot of products, and they are good size. They're about maybe a little bit smaller than the MAC eyeshadow pots. But you do get quite a lot in there, which is nice. There's lots of different variety. You've got the lights all the way to the darks. You do have a lot of mattes and a lot of shimmers, and then you have the ones that are a little bit more glittery right at the very, well, top or the bottom. You also get a good size mirror in there. It is completely full size, which is nice, especially if you plan on traveling with this palette. So that's nice to do your makeup in. And here you go. So the eyeshadows are they're laid out in a layout that makes a lot of sense. So I think if you sort of flip them the right way up, each row kind of is an eye look in itself. So you can actually, they're all predetermined, and you can sort of mix and match across all the different eyeshadows, or you can just kind of follow and make up a eye look according to each row in each column actually. So that's quite nice, especially for someone if you're wanting to try something new, or you don't really have a lot of time to pay attention to your makeup and you just want to kind of do an eye look. This is really easy because everything has kind of been color coordinated for you, which is nice. And some of them, especially like this last row, is quite unusual. So you get a kind of peach matte pink, I think just to act as a either all over lid color or for a highlight. You get a kind of old penny gold, a kind of glittery purple, and then a matte dark brown to go with it. So I think that makes an interesting eye look. I haven't tried it that way yet, but that seems really interesting. Otherwise, you get a kind of taupe. You've got a really lovely rose gold bronzy with a mint kind of grassy green, and then you've got a much more like grey blue eye look over here. So overall, you get a lot of different eyeshadows. You get a quite a different variety of colors, which is quite nice, and you also got lots of different finishes. So you can definitely count. The top row are all matte, so you got a lot of different kind of transition colors or all over eyelid colors or highlights. You also have a little bit of mattes in the other one, so there is a mid-tone grey right there, a mid-tone blue, a little bit grey blue right here, and then you have the brown, which is a matte as well. I think also right at the very end there is a dark purple that's kind of a little bit matte with a little bit of shimmer, but not as much as the three that you have at the very top here. So you get a nice variety. You also get the shimmers here. So the second row right here are all shimmers. You have a taupey, kind of a taupe color that's a shimmer, the rose gold penny that is really lovely, and then the more kind of glittery shades are this purple right here, and then these three right here, which you can definitely see a lot of glitter in there, and they're kind of a chunky glitter. They're not really refined, so good for sort of if you're going out, if you're going for a party. So they do have some absolutely lovely colors in here, very pigmented. I'm going to do a couple of swatches for you so you can see. Now my favorite colors, this kind of, just look at that, I've swatched it, it's this kind of old gold, if you can just, there we go, this kind of old gold, that penny color, which is just beautiful rose gold shimmer right there, very nice. Another of my favorite color is that shimmery taupe right at the very end, and it is that color. And then what else will I swatch for you? Kind of, let's do a matte. The matte brown, which is a little very cool toned, a little bit of grey cast in it. But as you can see, the colors are just really pigmented, really great, and it looks amazing. So that's what they look like. I'm going to clean my fingers off and come back with a few other swatches as well. I've also swatched them just at the back of my hand, so you can see sort of the color payoff. So that's the shimmery light taupe, you have the bit of the rose gold, you have the old gold, and then this kind of grey cool tone brown, which is a matte. And as you can see, color payoff is fantastic. They look really rich, really colorful, pigmented. So that's quite nice. They feel really smooth at the back of your hands, at the back of my hand, sorry. So that's quite nice. I also have the eyeshadow on my eyes. So what I've used today was that light taupey color, which is this one, and then I went into the crease with the dark brown and just made a kind of really smoky, but still nice for the daytime look. And that is typically what I would use from this palette, is those two colors, and then kind of interchain and mix and match. Now moving on, I'm going to swatch a few other things for you. So let's go with a little bit more of the colors. This is the minty blue, which is just absolutely beautiful. I've got the green, which is this color, and then let's try a glittery kind of purple, and then I'm gonna try that purple for you. I'm just gonna swatch a little bit. So those are what the colors look like. So that is the blue, the green, that is the glittery purple that's right in the middle. As you can see, it's quite a dark blackened color. Let's see if I can do that for you. It's quite a dark blackened color with really chunky glitter, and then that is the matte purple that was at the end. It's a little bit more powdery and patchy, as you can see from there. Now I'm gonna try to see if I can swatch this. So purple, blue, green, and black. So those are what the colors look like. That's the glittery kind of purpley black, the green, the minty blue, and then the light matte purple over there. As you can see, the color payoff is still really lovely, pigmented, but the quality does shift depending on which shade you are picking up. As I was saying, the quality of the shades do differ depending on the type of formula that you're picking up. So I do find that the shimmers are particularly stellar. They're a great formula. They're really kind of creamy, lovely. Go on the eyelids really well. The payoff is fantastic. And I really, really love the shimmers. Now, the mattes, on the other hand, are a little bit more dry. They're quite crumbly. And they just kind of swatch on with a lighter color payoff. So I'm not that much of a fan of the mattes. I think there are other brands and other formulas that does really nice mattes. Marc Jacobs unfortunately isn't one of them. And then with the kind of glittery shades, I do find that there is a lot of, they do crumble, there's a lot of fallout. And kind of on my eyes, the shades are all almost similar colors. Now, kind of going on to the negatives of this palette and what I found overall from using it is that I rarely reach for this palette, unfortunately. There are other eyeshadow palettes and other eyeshadows that I would regularly reach out to. The Marc Jacobs, unfortunately, isn't one of them. And I think the reason why is because, unfortunately, and what I've discovered from using it is that all the colors are really cool toned. A majority of them kind of just leans very cool. Even the sort of colors that I regularly reach for, which is this brown and those taupes, are very grey, very cool tone. And on my eyes, they just come off a little bit too cool from what I like. So unfortunately, they don't really suit my skin tone and what I like to wear on my eyes, which is much more warmer, deeper, richer colors. The other thing I found is that a lot of the shades are quite similar, so even though you're getting 20 eyeshadows and each one corresponds, like each row corresponds to its different eye looks, you do also get these, at the very bottom, these kind of 5 mattes kind of highlight all over the lid colors. They do look different in the pan, so you get a kind of very light, slightly pink shade right there. Next one is a light brown. Then you get a much more kind of warm cream color. This one is a yellowy cream color. And then very last on the end is kind of like a slightly deeper pink color. Now on my eyes, they all look completely the same. You don't really get much of a variety from it, so I kind of feel like that's a bit of a write-off for me. I felt like I could have maybe like a glittery shimmery shade in there that could work as an inner eye highlight. That would be really nice. That's something that's missing from this palette. I could have some darker or transition shades that would just work well, for example, with the green or with the blue, something just to blend out, especially with the purple as well. Or just a little bit more variety so that I can make a bit more use of this palette. Now, the other thing I've also found is that there is a lot of fallout. As you can see, it's gotten quite dirty already. I barely use, like the colors that I most use would be this 2 colors, which is the dark brown and the light taupe. And you can already see there's a lot of kind of fallout and the eyeshadow just around here, so it's a little bit difficult to keep clean. I kind of have to pay attention to make sure that I'm just dabbing my brush in and then kind of cleaning up around it. But otherwise, they are a little bit crumbly, but they do go on smoothly, which is nice. Otherwise, you know, the top rows, again, you have those glitter shades a little bit different. This one is more blue, more purple, more black. So I think on a lighter skin tone, they could look quite different, but on my skin tone, they sort of just blend in and look very similar. So again, with the matte white shadows, they're all a bit of a write-off. I'm not getting much of a variety, so that's a bit unfortunate. Now, last but not least, I think the eyeshadows are nice. You do get some really nice shimmery colors, which is really, really nice. And again, the shimmery eye color that I have on my eyelids are really nice. But aside from that, I'm not really sure that this is worth the $300 that it is. It is quite expensive, and I feel like you can get a lot more variety and a lot more kind of better eyeshadow formulas from other brands, including Inglot does really nice eyeshadows, and you can customize your own eyeshadow palette, and I think they're about $6 each eyeshadow pan, which is really, really, you know, affordable. And what else do Lorac does a lot of eyeshadow palettes, so it's really nice. Urban Decay again does a lot of different kind of neutrals as well as color eyeshadow palettes, and they're just really nice quality. Whereas I kind of feel the Marc Jacobs one, while the shimmers are nice, the mattes don't really perform as well as I would like them to. Now, from what I can see from the new 20 pan eyeshadow palette that Marc Jacobs have just released, I think it was last month, the shades look like they're a little bit warmer, a little bit rosier. They're sort of along the lines of the Urban Decay 3 Naked palette, which is with those lovely kind of pink tone, rose gold tones. So that looks really cool. But otherwise, I think I'm still looking forward to a much more warmer eyeshadow palette coming out from Marc Jacobs, and I think his normal palettes, which are with the 6 or 7 eyeshadows, are a little bit more affordable and a little bit more worth it from what you get, because you get a nice palette, you can kind of narrow it down to the shades that you like, and you get a nice variety anyway. I think most of them usually comes with a variety of mattes and shimmers, and they make either one eye look, or you can mix and match and do different eye looks with them. So I think that would be really nice. I've swatched a couple of them. They're, again, because of how pricey they are, I kind of feel that there are other eyeshadows and other brands that are a little bit nicer for what you get. But if you're a fan of Marc Jacobs, if you're a fan of the formula, by all means, you know, go and swatch them and buy them. But I think for me, especially with the 20 eyeshadow palettes, I just don't really find much use for it, and it's such a shame because it is quite beautiful. It's great packaging, except for the quality of it. But the design is really nice, and I think some of the colors are actually really nice. It's just that I would not use the rest of the colors, so it's a bit of a shame. I think I might end up regifting this to someone else or selling it, see how it go. But it's a bit of a shame. So that is my review and impression of the Marc Jacobs eyeshadow palette, and let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've tried it, if you have it, you know, what sort of eye looks have you done with it? I would love to know. Now, if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And again, I'd love to hear your comments on what you'd like to see next time. I'll leave some pictures of the eye look I've done today so you can get a bit of a close-up, and I'll see you next time. Bye!